Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to episode 4 of Spooktober. Yeah, so I'm so hungry. I was supposed to do a different food video today, like mukbang food wise, but I was really hungry and wanted like actual food. So I'm gonna save that one for tomorrow. Hopefully y'all, well actually it's in that little Target bag back there if you can see the Target bag. I don't know if you can or not. But, so we have all my favorite like appetizer foods or like finger foods. So we have some pigs in a blanket. Hopefully these are good. Usually I make them homemade, but I was really lazy, so I just bought some. We have some mozzarella sticks, some jalapeno poppers with cheddar, and then also some potato skins. So let's get started. I'm gonna try the pigs in a blanket first. They're good. This is marinara sauce that came with the cheese sticks. Not bad. I think I like mine more though. Let's try these out. Let's see if we get any. These cheese sticks are good, but there's no cheese pool, so that's annoying. Today's story is crazy. This is the case of the Alycatjewelry murders. Is that how you say? I don't know how to say the last name, but it's Lyske. The murder of that family. So, October 31st, 2010, Devin Griffin is dropped off at home from spending the whole weekend at his dad's house. Oh, you know what? Let's backtrack a second. So, let's, because it's not confusing, but it is kind of confusing at first. So, the mom, her original name was Susan Griffin. She got married to William or Bill Lyske, so her last name changed to Lyske. She had 2 kids, Devin Griffin and Derek Griffin. I don't know why she named them so similar, but go off, queen. Oh. And then you have William, Bill Lyske, and then he had a son, BJ. Okay, so now that we have that, family tree figured out, Devin gets home from spending the weekend at his dad's. It's Sunday morning. And so he goes home and he's like, okay, I'm gonna change real quick, I'm gonna go to my church thing. So he goes inside to change real quick and he runs into his stepbrother, BJ. Now this is kind of weird because BJ doesn't live there. And looking back on it, Devin was like, it's kind of weird because he was really happy and like cheerful, and he's never like that. He's usually very dark and gloomy and just not the way he was acting. And usually BJ does not care what Devin's doing. BJ was like, hey, like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, when will you be back? And Devin just brushed it off and changed real quick and went to church. Now, hours later, Devin returns, and he goes straight to his room. He's like, I'm gonna play some video games, like, and same. Because I'm so behind on editing videos. I have like 4 videos to edit. So after I finish that, I am gonna play some video games after that, though. So, it's about 1:30 in the afternoon now, right? Devin goes, I haven't heard from either of my parents yet. Like, I wonder what's going on, because like usually they would be up by now. So he goes to his parents' room, and they're both laying in the bed still. So he's like, that's kind of weird, but like, let me wake them up, you know? Let me just see, you know, what's going on. So he starts kind of talking to him, and he sees that his mom's foot is kind of hanging out from the covers, and the covers are pulled up pretty high, so he can't see their faces or anything like that right now. So he's talking to her, he's nudging her foot, he's like, hey mom, like, good morning, good afternoon, like, wake up, what are y'all doing? Like, is it lazy Sunday today? Like, what's going on? I know it's a holiday, but wow. He's talking to his mom, but still no, like, response. And so he pulls down the cover a little bit, and the pillows are soaking in blood. So he's thinking, haha, like, mom, like, dad, like, y'all are so funny, like, what a great prank, like, happy Halloween, yeah, you know. He pulls it down farther and realizes this is not a prank. This is very real. So he freaks out, starts crying, runs out the house. Runs out mainly too because he's like, what if they're still in here? Like, because he doesn't know when this crime happened. He runs out, he gets a hold of his aunt. She comes over and calls the cops and is trying to calm him down. Let's do some backstory on BJ. So, BJ has always had issues growing up for the most part. And 2002 was the first police involved incident at their house. And BJ was 16 at the time. BJ was trying to harm himself. So his dad, William, called the cops to come and try to help him. When the cops arrived, BJ was already on house arrest, and when the cops arrived, he actually assaulted the police officer. So he ended up getting charged with assault on a peace officer. And then, October 2004, BJ he got into a fight with Susan, and he hit her pretty hard in the chest. Nothing was done about this, like no cops were called or anything like that. And then a few months later, he again assaulted her with a coffee cup and then took her car keys. So he was charged with like assault and then like theft, because he did technically take the car keys that were not his. He was charged with these charges, and at first he was deemed like incompetent to stand the charges or stand trial. But eventually the charges were dropped. So I don't know if it was Susan who made the charges and like dropped the charges, or like I don't know the exact details of that. I couldn't really find anything on that, but the charges were dropped on that one. And then he ended up getting like admitted to like a mental health patient place. And there, I guess he could go off campus and whatnot and have visitors pick him up and then drop him back off. And his dad and Susan too, they're such troopers, because through all this, they still love him unconditionally and they're still trying to help him. They're still trying to find medicine and resources and just be there for him so that they can try to like, I guess not fix him, but help him, you know, become a productive member of society at least. So his dad would come and pick him up, and a few times he would act up, and a few times even they have actually gotten into physical altercations at the mental health patient place. And then at one time when BJ was 18, he was also kicked out of the house because Susan was taking a shower, and her mid-shower, he tried to attack her. which is scary for me because I don't know why, but I have this intense fear that I'm gonna get killed in the shower. Like, I hate showering home alone. Like, I hate doing any of that home alone. Like, which sucks because I usually do have to shower alone, like, whenever, like, my boyfriend's at work or whatever. So that, like, scares the daylights out of me. So, like, reading that, I was like, oh, hell no. I could, no. I would kick him out of the house, too. So, in 2006, by the time BJ is legally an adult, but he was diagnosed with schizophrenic, like, behavior and, like, bipolar type. And so, like I said, the dad and the mom really wanted to help him, so they actually filed to have legal guardianship over him, which I guess basically just means that I don't think he necessarily has to live with them, but they have, like, control over his life, basically, or, like, his medicines, things like that, basically. And it's interesting, too, because BJ would take his meds, and he would be fine. I mean, maybe not great, but he was fine. He never had, like, he wouldn't have violent episodes. He was, like, a normal person. But then I guess he would get it in his mind, which I kind of understand, like, you're taking these meds for so long and you're fine, you're like, oh, I don't need these anymore. So then he would get that mindset and stop taking them. And then he would go crazy again, or have his episodes again. And then he would also, like, drink alcohol, smoke and, like, do drugs. So he would do a little bit of everything when he was off of his meds. I cooked these poppers too long and the cheese is, like, gone. It was just bread and jalapeno. Shame. So, leading up to the murder, a week before, William takes him on a hunting trip, a week-long hunting trip at their family cabin. And the whole trip is fine, because when I was reading this, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna kill the dad there. Hunting accident, come on now. So, they get back from the hunting trip on October 30th. Now, usually BJ is not allowed to stay at the house, like, overnight or long term. But they were tired after a week of hunting. And they had, like, a little family gathering when they got back from the hunting trip. They had a family gathering after the hunting trip. And I think also friends were there too. And William started drinking. They were all drinking. And William was like, you know what, look, you live like a city over. I don't want to drive and drink and drive. So you know what, we're just going to stay here. You're just going to stay the night tonight here and I'll take you back home tomorrow. And so they made a little bed on the couch for him, continued the family gathering, the party. And people that were at the gathering said that everything seemed fine. Like, yes, BJ was, you know, troubled. And so he did still have that vibe about him at the gathering, but he wasn't really, like, starting fights or posing a threat or making anyone feel uneasy. Friends and family, though, that were interviewed did say, though, that throughout the years they have warned William that he needs to be more wary of bringing around BJ because of how much of a danger he is and how much he could put the whole family at risk. And like I said, William just loved his son so much that I think he did listen to what other people had to say about BJ, but I think at the end of the day, he just loved his son so much that he was like, no, like, he's a part of this family and he's gonna be a part of this family. It's what it seems like. Also, too, the neighbors would say that over the years when BJ was living there, their pets would mysteriously die. And they all believe that he was the culprit for their pets, like, dying. So police have now arrived on the scene. It's pretty nasty. The couch is made up, like, as if someone was, like, gonna sleep there. I don't know if it was slept on or not. I was curious about that. From the reports, it sounds like he never did go to sleep. And they went to the first room because the parents' bedroom was on the first floor. And they went in and they found both of the parents dead in bed. The dad was shot 5 times in the face and in the head. And it was at like a close range, so like anywhere from 1 to 2 feet. And it's believed that the dad was shot first out of those 2. And that maybe he probably shot the dad 1 time just to kill him, and then he went and shot the mom. The mom was shot 3 times. Also, too, by the way that her body was facing and the way it was moved, they do believe that she was sexually assaulted. They don't know if it was before or after her death, but she was believed to be sexually assaulted. Then they went upstairs and they went to the brother's room, Derek Griffin. The door was locked. They kicked in the door and they found him curled up on his bed, and his head was hit multiple times with blunt force trauma. When they were searching the house, they did find a spiked hammer type deal. I don't know the technical term, but it was covered in blood and it was matched with the wounds of the son of his stepbrother. And it is believed, though, at least it's kind of a good way, but the first hit did kill him. So at least he didn't experience like a painful death, you know? So that's good, I guess. It's sad because literally just 3 taken within, you know. And they searched the property and they did find muddy footprints around the pond in the backyard. And they still hadn't found the gun at this point. And there were also multiple guns in the house because the dad was an active hunter and whatnot, so there were multiple guns that he could have used. And I think even in the reports, a different gun, I just spit on myself, a different gun was used on the mother, like a .22 caliber or something like that. I don't know those fancy terms. So yeah. So you see the footprints around the pond. So their first instinct is the gun is probably in this pond. So they did drain out the little mini pond and they found nothing. They brought out dogs. The dogs couldn't really find nothing either. So I think to this day still, I don't think they ever found the guns that were used. So at this time they're starting to investigate. They're starting to realize that the son, BJ, is a very, very, very huge, large main suspect. And if this was I don't know if this was a small town or not, but if it was, with how much he gets in trouble with the police, I'm sure the police probably already knew who BJ was. You know. So the police go to the family cabin to search it and try to find more clues. When they go, they see that William's truck is in the driveway. So they burst in and they find an uneaten, unopened Subway sandwich on the counter. They find BJ there. And then they also checked CCTV footage, and they did see that BJ did buy that Subway sandwich like a few moments or so before, like, you know, getting caught. So he didn't even have time to eat his sandwich. Like, That's how quickly they caught him. So he was taken in, you know, put in jail. The trial starts. Now, he's so emotionless, but he's in his trial saying, I love my dad. He means the world to me. I don't know what happened. I think it was just my mental illness. Like, I didn't mean to cause any harm. But he's like not remorseful about it at all. And yes, I do agree that maybe his mental illness did have something to do with it, but also you can't just fully blame it on that in this case. I think part of it is just that's just how he is. Because also too, he's been violent for a very long time. They were saying that he mainly started turning the way he is now when his dad and his actual mom divorced. And then once Susan moved in and Lade got married, he started acting out, started not going to school, not listening, becoming violent. So I think this was like something brewing in him for a long time. Like, I don't think it was non-meditated. Like, I think it was premeditated murder in my eyes, at least. Because also all the years of him assaulting Susan, like, obviously he didn't like her for the get-go, and he tried to get rid of her for the past few years. And he was finally successful at it, and he even took one of her kids, and the other kid just got lucky because he happened to be at his dad's house that weekend, you know? So he pled guilty to all 3 counts of aggravated murder. He was sentenced to life without parole. However, in 2015, at age 29, he did take his life in prison. That kind of sucks, because that means that he can't, you know, serve time for his crime, but I just feel bad for the brother that lived, Devin. Like, you lost your brother, you lost your mom, and you lost your stepdad. And they seemed like a pretty good family, like, besides, like, the issues they would have with BJ. Like, it didn't seem like, you know, like, they hated the dad or anything, like the stepdad. I think maybe BJ just was scared that, like, his mom would get replaced and whatnot, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. Do y'all call these pigs in a blanket? I saw on TikTok last night someone called them pigs in a blanket. And then a whole debate started in the comments. Like, people were like, no, pigs in a blanket is like bacon wrapped sausage or something like that. Which, that sounds great. I mean, if that's a pigs in a blanket, I'll eat that. But I've always known this as pigs in a blanket. Like a croissant roll or whatever type of dough wrapped around like a little weenie or like a little smoky. But also too, I think the person that said the bacon wrapped sausage was from a different country. I'm about to say different planet. Man, we are not that futuristic yet. Well, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. It was a very interesting case, and I really did enjoy reading about this one. It's a really sad case, but it's very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. But leave a comment down below what y'all thought. Be sure to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.